Aon Hewitt has come out with its 21st annual salary increase survey 2017 for India. And we have Anandorup Ghose, partner talent and rewards at Aon Hewitt Consulting, joining us live this afternoon. Many thanks for joining us. Let's get straight to it. What are the highlights of the salary increase survey 2017? The big themes?
I think the big story this year is that we are seeing about a 100 basis point drop in pay increases compared to the previous years. And this was to a large extent expected. We had expected that because of all the economic scenario all around, as well as a broader need to manage pay costs, you were expecting to see a bit of drop in pay increases. But I think the fact that it has dropped by about 100 basis points is quite a bit.
100 basis point drop in the pay increases. Now, sectorally, how does this sort of divvy up?
I think sectorally you will find that the sectors that have in the past been high up in the pay increases, sectors such as the consumer internet business, the pharmaceutical business and so on, those have remained at the higher end of the spectrum. I think the top five are consumer internet, professional services, pharmaceuticals, consumer goods, etc. At the bottom of the spectrum are industries such as cement, financial institutions, some bit of real estate infrastructure, etc. To a large extent, I think it's reflective of the fact that industries where compensation costs are a large part of the overall cost structure, there you're seeing greater drop in pay increases. But in industries where compensation costs are not that large a part of your overall OPEX, you're not seeing pay increases drop as much.
Can you reflect a little bit on the psychology of companies right now? What are the factors that are making them, in a sense, you could use the word mature or cautious when it comes to salary hikes?
I think we are calling it the graying of salary increases because what is happening is over the last 10 years, we have seen a gradual decline in the pay increases offered. And like I said, from a question about what companies are thinking, I think it's a reaction to two things. One is a long-run requirement to manage compensation costs. This is a significant amount of pressure by investors around the world and in India that compensation costs are increasing far too rapidly. And then there is the whole overall uncertainty on account of the last quarter not having been good, uncertainty about what demonetization will mean in the long run, how US politics, etc. will affect, and so on. So it's a combination of things.
I was going through the report, and it was interesting to see a link to inflation, comfort from the fact that the consumer price index has been lower in recent months. I can't recall an inflation-linked salary discussion in the past. Is this sort of an explanation that companies are offering out?
Yes. The fact is it's a very significant drop, right? If you look at the formal CPI numbers at 3.2%, it is naturally the question that investors would have is how do you justify 8 to 10% pay increase when cost of living is only going up at 3%. The fact is that inflation in India has never been correlated with pay increase because what an individual feels on the ground with regard to how his cost of living is increasing does not necessarily always have a correlation with how the official figures might be. I'll just quote an RBI study here. RBI says that their study of individuals says that about individuals expect CPI to be at 8.3%, while the official figure is 3%.
Okay, a couple of other things I wanted to ask you, and it may seem like I've got many moving parts here, but what we're seeing as far as the salary increase survey for 2017 is concerned, and you asked that question in your report, is it just a one-year blip or is it a trend? Is this something that people should perhaps consider over the next couple of years. So what's your final analysis there?
I think our point of view on this is that salary increases as they used to be 5-6 years ago in the 10.5%, 11.5% range, that range will probably not happen in the near future, or at least in the foreseeable future. Whether we will go up a few percentage points, it is anybody's guess, but for sure we're not going back to the 10.5%, 11% range again.
And how does the outlook for 2017 for India compare with, Asian peers?
So India traditionally, for the last 15 years or so, has been giving the highest pay increases across Asia. India at 9.5%, China is about 6.5%, is the closest that comes to India. But I think the important thing about India is that inflation adjusted, all other Asian countries do about 2 to 2.5% pay increase, whereas CPI adjusted, you're seeing about a 6% pay increase in India.
Again, your report talks about an increasing focus on talent and merit in the Indian context. How have you arrived at that conclusion? What is the evidence to back that assertion?
I think that is actually the big story this year, because what you're seeing gradually over a period of time, and you have to think about this from the perspective that at an average, the average employee, the median salaries, the median pay increases are being managed more cautiously, more carefully. What is happening, however, is that companies are still allowing significantly higher premiums for people who are identified as top talent or as critical talent, or who are expected to bring in some specific skills that companies need. So what you're seeing is that from as low as about 1.2, 1.3 times ratio between the average pay increase and the top performer pay increase, that ratio is now about 1.8 to 1.9 times. So while the average performer might get lesser pay increases than in the past, the top performer, his pay increase, her pay increase does not get impacted.
Does not get impacted, or is it actually growing at a faster clip?
You could say the ratio is widening. If the average keeps coming down, then it will probably not grow as fast. But yes, but there are specific kinds of skills and competencies that are getting significantly higher premiums than in the past.
Are there any divergences that you notice? We've talked about the big picture, but are there any exceptions in a sense for hot sectors? The outliers in a sense, because they're the sectors of the moment.
It's an interesting point that you raise. This is the first year after a long time where there are no sectors at the moment. Till last year, for instance, consumer internet or e-commerce was the flavor of the season. They were giving large pay increases. There was a lot of hiring activity in those sectors. This is a strange year in which there are no sectors that are actually net attractor of talent. Almost all sectors are equally impacted. Some may be a little more than others, but there are no standout sectors this year.
And, away from just the salary piece, and I'm just going to mine your understanding of the space beyond salary, I know that this survey really focuses on the salary increase piece of it, but what are the underlying trends on attrition? Again, how does it sort of break up sectorally? Or, given that this is a subdued job market, is it lower attrition levels as well? I'm saying too much. I wanted you to dwell a little bit on the underlying attrition piece.
I think attrition at 16.4 odd % that we're reporting for 2016, I think is about 400 basis points lower than the average of the last 5-7 years. Has there been a sectoral change? Maybe not. I think basically sectors that have a large feet on street population, large sales force, still have the highest attrition rates. Sectors which don't have that much, are more high tech, etc., have lower attrition. But I think the important difference this year is that the attrition in your critical talent pool, every company has a critical talent pool, etc., defined. The critical talent pool actually is seeing significantly higher attrition this year than previous years. And that's because certain sectors that have a demand for newer kind of skills or capabilities or newer kind of technology, there you're seeing significantly higher attrition in your critical talent.
Mr. Ghose, I'm just going to round off our conversation today with a request to you to say, what's the big takeaway from the 2017 salary increase survey? If you had to sort of put it out there in one line, how would you describe it?
I would say this, the graying of pay increases in India is a graying of pay increases for the average performers. The top performers are still going to see significantly higher growth for themselves. Critical skills are still going to see significantly higher premiums for themselves. But the average pay increases in India have gone down significantly and are expected to remain in this level going forward as well.
Anandorup Ghose, Partner Talent and Rewards at Aon Hewitt Consulting. Many thanks for your time and for the clarity on salaries and what 2017 is looking like. Good to talk to you today. Thanks very much.